So if you've been on 4chan lately, you know the two primary things New is talking about is number one, this She's Owl cartoon, which I personally just thought it was a bunch of bad writers coming up with a bad concept like, oh, let's make a chauvinistic, misogynist boy turn into a girl as a superhero. That's so original and so witty. But they seem to think it's transvestite propaganda. It might be, but it just doesn't seem likely. Then the second thing is gun control. Because of this recent Connecticut shooting, I wanted to say Colorado, but whatever, there's always some shooting spree. So, yeah, once again, some people died, so they're scared that they're gonna ban all the guns. Because they would really do that knowing how much rednecks love guns. And let's face it, they don't care about your rights, but they do care about money. So no, I don't think they're gonna ban guns, but let's talk about this. Let's talk about if it were to happen. Because a lot of liberal, so-called leftists want these things to happen. Just in contradiction to the Christian right, they want to excel transsexuals and this proverbial sexual identity crisis and the ban of guns. What would this mean for society? See, the only thing I look at is, does this attack the bourgeois or not? And it doesn't. Doesn't at all. I mean, it attacks the petty bourgeois, I suppose. I mean, if you were to, applaud homosexuality and endorse homosexuality and all its many menacing, degenerate forms that it takes on, you would indeed disrupt the Christian doctrine. You would disrupt the family household. So those are some institutions worth attacking, but it doesn't attack the bourgeois. And considering modern society, those are not problems you should be concerning yourself with if you consider yourself a socialist or communist or anarchist. There just simply isn't enough leverage in family and church anymore to consider that a worthy ally, I guess you could put it. Homosexuality is not an institution communists should be supporting, not so much because whether or not we should be homosexual, but because what do they offer the ideology? What do they offer the purity of the ideology to pursue communism? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. All you're going to get out of a society that becomes what the LGBT wants it to become is an even more indoctrinated, more control grid aristocracy where everyone's apologizing to each other. Oh, I'm sorry, I called you the wrong pronoun. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had a penis. Oh, my dick. And, nobody wants to live in a world like that. I don't know anybody who could rationalize wanting to live in a world where every little fucking thing offends you and censors you and gets you banned. Guess what? That's a moderator world. You don't want to live in that. I am not living on this earth to fucking deal with that bullshit, and I will fight against it at every single turn. That's why I oppose homosexuality. It's not that I give a fuck who you're having sex with. It is the implications of your ideology. Your ideology is wrong. Your ideology will create hazardous environments. Your ideology produces more moderators and produces more dread for the common man. So, no, I just stand my ground and stand firmly on the side of I'm a communist, but no, I don't support homosexuals because they're nationalists. They are very reactionary nationalists. They have described themselves as this group in need of certain rights for themselves at the expense of other groups of people. And, don't give me this crap about how homosexuals want to be equal. You can have sex equally. There is no laws against sex. There is only laws against the institution of marriage. So your argument is, I should have the right to get gay married. Well, why? What is the institution of marriage? And if the institution of marriage is this bourgeois concept of getting with somebody to have documentation to combine your incomes and blah-de-blah-de-blah, what does gay have to do with any of that? Don't tell me it's about fucking love. It isn't. So you know better than that. You're the one that says, oh, 50% of heterosexuals get divorced. Well, then it's not about fucking love, so stop saying it. Stop treating us like we're goddamn idiots. We're not. You know, you just are a nationalist organization, and you want to validate your particular nationalist group, and I'm not falling for that shit. And on the same token, gun rights. Oh, if we, don't ban guns, more people will die. So fucking what? You're the person complaining about overpopulation. Oh, we need to perpetuate abortion. We need more women on birth control. Because there's too many people. There's too many people. So why the fuck do you bitch about war, murder, all this shit? There's too many people, right? So fucking kill them all. But that's the thing. They don't want communism. They don't even want socialism. What they want is totalitarianism. What they want is liberal capitalism. And not enough communists are just coming right out and saying that. Now, my personal views on those subject matters would probably upset most of my friends. I mean, obviously, they know how my feelings are on homosexuals, but me and Maoist Rebel kind of, get a little flack for our position on gun rights. We both believe in gun rights. I think we believe in them differently, but ultimately we believe in them. I personally think that you should be able to wield whatever weapon any other institution can wield. For example, if the military can use a weapon, you should be able to use it. If you can't use it, the military shouldn't be using it either. That's just a moral decree. But on a more practical level, I think it's everybody's right to defend themselves. And if you can legally prove you're using your weapon to defend yourself, then you have every right to use the weapon. However, it would be much harder to argue that you're using, let's say, a Glock 17 to defend yourself. Because what is a Glock 17? A Glock 17 is a handgun that has something like 18 rounds in its magazine. What do you need that for? Who are you planning to shoot that takes 18 rounds of ammo? Unless you're fighting some kind of video game boss, I think that's a little excessive, don't you? Now, I mind you, in the real world, we do need guns. Sometimes there's a threat coming at us, and a gun is just the most practical weapon to have. I understand that. But there are revolvers. A revolver is a much more humble weapon. And guess what? The invention of the revolver was made specifically to kill slaves. The person that invented the revolver wanted to have a means to shoot at runaway slaves in case the first musket shot missed. So yeah, even a revolver, which by today's standards is very humble, was solely designed to kill runaway slaves and is a bourgeoisie invention. So, that's my personal belief on gun rights and bullshit. It's all bullshit. I understand that you need guns to defend yourself. I understand you're not going to have a revolution without guns. But this idea that somehow we have this right to it. We have the right to the means to an ends. But to call the means the ends is just fucking retarded. And by suggesting that the means are the ends, you're making everyone retarded. And that's the problem with today's debate. It's just retarded. It's just two people lying right through their teeth to each other, and we're all supposed to just sit there, nod, and agree with one of them. No, I will not agree with, I shouldn't even say agree with one of them, because we don't live in a world where we can legally defend ourselves in actuality. Every time someone actually uses their weapon to defend themselves, they are treated as like this nefarious criminal that, is just doing it out of racial hatred. Like that George Zimmerman case. Was it Zimmerman? The guy that saw the little black kid armed with Skittles, and he shot him. Now, obviously, I think, personally, Zimmerman thought he was like Batman or something. He thought he was gonna save his neighborhood from a punk kid, and he had this image in his mind that he was gonna be the hero and stuff. I don't think he did it personally out of racism. Maybe subconsciously he did, but ultimately I just think he had this fantasy in his mind that this person was a threat, and he was going to be the good guy, and he was going to shoot him before he could become the threat, and it didn't work out that way. So, given that, if that's the worst that can happen from somebody having a gun, that's really not that bad. And, mass murderers and stuff, they're gonna do that shit anyway. Even if they have to come into a room and just stab people. They might not be as efficient as someone armed with a gun, but ultimately, people that want to hurt you are going to hurt you. And you have to be willing to hurt them back. My message to you is, don't necessarily be violent, but necessarily be prepared for violence. Be prepared for the fact that you might have to get violent with people, and undoubtedly, people are going to be violent toward you. That is the reality of the matter. And, I could say this all day long, but people are going to twist my words to just say, oh, Jim Prophet is homophobic. Oh, Jim Prophet is a red fascist. Meh, meh, meh. Now, with the gun rights issue, I don't know where that's going to go, because, I'm arguing kind of both points here. I think the fucking redneck hillbillies that cling to their guns are fucking stupid, but on the same token, I personally wouldn't mind if every single person was armed to the teeth. So, take that as you will. If you personally want to ban firearms, I'm not going to hold that against you. Let's face it, I'm pretty sick and tired of conservatards opening their mouth hole. So, I'd be glad to see them throw a fit, but it won't change anything. It won't change the bourgeois institution controlling your daily life. So, you really have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth the effort to do these things if your life isn't going to change? If the environment isn't going to change? What do these things accomplish, actually? And, that's my issue. And then conservatives have the nerve, they have the audacity to say that, oh, well, we have to keep our guns so that we don't get oppressed. I got news for you, buddy. You're already oppressed. And you do so at your own risk, suggesting that you will shoot up your oppressors. I'm not going to say whether you should or not, because for obvious reasons, but I'll put it this way. You haven't done so yet. If you had, you'd be the one on the news, not that guy that just killed 20 kids in Connecticut. So, until you're willing to use your guns, I don't want to fucking hear one word about your dumbass guns. That's really all I have to say.